Dr. Elena Martinez rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working at the radio telescope for 12 hours straight, listening to sounds from deep space. Most of the time she heard nothing but static and noise, from distant stars. But tonight was different. The signal came through at exactly 2:47 in the morning. Elena almost missed it because it was so weak. At first she thought it might be interference from a satellite or maybe equipment problems. But as she listened more carefully, she realized this was something she had never heard before. The pattern was too regular to be natural, too organized to be random noise. Someone or something was sending this signal on purpose. Elena called her partner, Dr. Ryan Clark, who was sleeping in the next room. Ryan was the best code breaker at the facility. If anyone could figure out what this signal meant, it would be him. "Ryan, wake up," Elena said, shaking his shoulder. "You need to hear this." Ryan sat up in his small bed, his hair messy from sleep. "What time is it?" "Elena, we agreed to take turns watching the equipment." "I know, but this is important. Really important. I think we got something." Ryan followed Elena back to the main control room. The signal was still coming through, weak but steady. Elena had already started recording it on the computer. "Play it again," Ryan said, putting on his headphones. Elena replayed the signal. Ryan listened carefully, his face getting more serious with each repetition. After 10 minutes, he looked up at Elena with wide eyes. "This is artificial," he said. "Someone made this signal. But the math is all wrong for human technology." "What do you mean?" Elena asked. "The frequency patterns, the timing, even the way it's encoded. No human technology works like this. Either someone built a transmitter we've never seen before, or," Ryan paused. "Or what? Or this came from somewhere else. Somewhere very far away." Elena felt her heart beating faster. She had spent her whole career hoping for this moment. Every scientist who worked with radio telescopes dreamed of finding proof that humans were not alone in the universe. But now that it might be happening, she felt scared and excited at the same time. "Can you decode it?" she asked. Ryan was already working on his computer, running the signal through different programs. "It's going to take time. The mathematical structure is complex, but there are patterns. Give me a few hours." Elena made coffee and sandwiches while Ryan worked. She tried to stay calm, but her hands were shaking as she poured the coffee. If this signal really came from aliens, everything would change. Not just for her and Ryan, but for all of humanity. At sunrise, Ryan finally looked up from his computer screen. His face was pale and he looked worried. "I've got most of it decoded," he said. "Elena, you're not going to believe this." "What does it say?" Ryan turned his computer screen so Elena could see. The decoded message was displayed in simple English. Words. "It's a distress call," Ryan explained. "But not just any distress call. This is from a species called the Calorians. They're asking for help from anyone who can receive their message." Elena read the decoded text carefully. The message described a peaceful alien race that was under attack by another alien species called the Vrak. The Calorians had detected old human radio signals and were hoping that humans had developed space travel technology. "They're dying," Elena whispered. "According to this message, the Vrak have already destroyed most of their worlds. The Calorians are sending this signal as a last desperate attempt to find help." Ryan nodded grimly. "The signal has been traveling for months. By the time it reached us, the situation might already be hopeless." Elena stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was rising over the desert where their radio telescope was located. It looked like any other morning, but she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. "We have to tell someone," she said. "The government, the military, other scientists. People need to know about this." "Who's going to believe us?" Ryan asked. "We're just two scientists working at a small research station. And even if they do believe us, what can we do? We barely have the technology to travel to Mars, let alone to another star system." Elena thought about this. Ryan was right that it seemed impossible. But something inside her refused to give up. The Calorians had sent their message into the darkness, hoping that someone would care enough to help, even if that help came from a species they had never met. We start by making sure the message gets to the right people, Elena said. There are people in the government who make decisions about space exploration. There are military officers who understand strategy and war. We get this information to them and we let them decide what to do. Ryan saved all the decoded information onto multiple computers and backup drives. Elena began making phone calls to contacts at NASA, the Department of Defense, and universities around the world. Most people thought they were crazy. Some hung up the phone. Others listened politely but clearly didn't believe the story. But few people took them seriously. Word began to spread through the scientific and military communities that something extraordinary had happened. By evening, Elena and Ryan had visitors. Captain Alex Rodriguez from the Earth Defense Fleet arrived, with 2 other officers and a team of communications experts. Captain Rodriguez was a serious man with gray hair and intelligent eyes. He listened to the full explanation and examined all the evidence. Dr. Martinez, Dr. Clark, Captain Rodriguez said finally, if this is real, if this signal really came from aliens asking for help, then humanity faces its first major decision as a space-traveling species. Do we ignore this message and pretend we never received it? Or do we try to help even though we don't know if we're capable of making a difference? Elena looked at the decoded message one more time. Somewhere in the darkness between the stars, an entire species was fighting for its survival. They had reached out to humanity in their darkest hour, hoping for a miracle. Captain, Elena said, I think we have to try. 3 weeks later, Captain Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Meridian, watching the stars change position as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. This was humanity's first journey to another star system with the purpose of meeting alien life. The Meridian was Earth's newest and most advanced spaceship. It carried a crew of 50 people, including soldiers, scientists, doctors, and engineers. Everyone on board knew they were making history, but nobody knew if they would survive to tell about it. Captain, we're approaching the Calorian home system, announced Lieutenant Commander Lisa Thompson from her position at the navigation controls. Lisa was the ship's tactical officer, a smart woman who had studied every piece of information they had about alien technology. Captain Rodriguez looked at the main screen. What he saw made his stomach feel sick. Where there should have been a beautiful solar system with planets and space stations, he saw destruction everywhere. Broken pieces of metal floated in space where orbital platforms used to be. Dead satellites drifted without power. Several of the planets showed burn marks on their surfaces where cities had been destroyed. This was not a battle zone. This was the aftermath of a massacre. My God, whispered Dr. Elena Martinez, who had joined the mission as the ship's expert on alien communications. We're too late. Commander Jake Sullivan, the head of Earth's new xenological division, studied the sensor readings on his computer. Jake was a former military officer who now specialized in understanding alien cultures. He had spent weeks preparing for this moment, but nothing could have prepared him for this level of destruction. Not necessarily, Jake said. I'm reading some energy signatures from the 4th planet. Weak, but definitely artificial. Someone might still be alive down there. Captain Rodriguez made his decision quickly. Take us to the 4th planet, but stay alert. Whatever did this might still be in the area. As the Meridian moved deeper into the Calorian system, the crew could see more evidence of the attack. Entire moons had been cracked apart. Space factories that once built peaceful technology were now twisted metal floating in the darkness. Captain, called out Dr. Martinez from her communication station, I'm picking up a signal. It's very weak, but it matches the frequency patterns from the original distress call. Can you make contact? Dr. Martinez worked at her controls, trying to boost the signal strength. She had spent the entire 3-week journey learning how to communicate with the Calorians. Their language was based on musical tones and harmonics, rather than words like human languages. After several minutes, a voice came through the speakers. It sounded like a combination of music and wind chimes, beautiful but sad. I think I have someone, Dr. Martinez said. The translation computer is working on converting their language to English. The translated voice that came through the speakers was filled with desperation and hope at the same time. Unknown vessel, this is high-resonance thymal of the Calorian survivors. Are you the humans who received our message? Please respond if you can understand us. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. High-resonance thymal, this is Captain Alex Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Meridian. We received your distress call and came as quickly as we could. What is your situation? There was a long pause before the Calorian leader responded. When the translated voice came back, it was shaking with emotion. Captain Rodriguez, your arrival is a miracle we did not dare hope for. We are the last survivors of our civilization. The Vrak Dominion has destroyed 7 of our 8 worlds. We have perhaps a few thousand people left, hiding in underground, shelters and damaged space stations. Commander Sullivan leaned forward. High-resonance thymal, can you tell us about the Vrak? We need to understand what we're dealing with. The Calorian leader's translated voice became darker. The Vrak are a species that conquers other civilizations for the pleasure of conquest. They do not want our resources or our territory. They simply enjoy destroying peaceful peoples. They have done this to dozens of species across the galaxy. Doctor Martinez asked the question that everyone was thinking. How powerful are they? What kind of technology do they have? Their ships are large and heavily armed, high-resonance thymal explained. But their true weapon is fear. They send messages to peaceful species demanding surrender. When civilizations refuse, the Vrak destroy them completely as an example to others. Most species surrender without fighting because they know resistance is hopeless. Lieutenant Commander Thompson studied the tactical information that the Calorians were sharing. Captain, according to their data, the Vrak have hundreds of warships. Each one is bigger than our largest Earth vessels. They also have some kind of energy weapon that can destroy a planet's surface. Captain Rodriguez felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Earth had sent one ship with 50 crew members to face an enemy that had conquered dozens of civilizations. It seemed impossible. But Commander Sullivan was looking at the tactical data with different eyes. Captain, there's something interesting here. Look at how the Vrak fight. Jake pointed to the battle reports that the Calorians had shared. They use overwhelming force and intimidation, but their tactics are very simple. They move in straight lines. They attack obvious targets. They don't use deception or complex strategies. What are you thinking? Captain Rodriguez asked. I'm thinking that the Vrak have never faced a species that actually knows how to fight a war, Jake replied. Every civilization they've conquered has been peaceful. Advanced, but peaceful. They've never encountered a species that evolved on a planet where everything was trying to kill them. Dr. Martinez understood what Jake was suggesting. You mean they've never fought humans? Exactly. Earth is what scientists call a death world. Almost every other planet that develops intelligent life is more peaceful than Earth. We're probably the first military species the Vrak have ever encountered. High resonance. Thymal's voice came through the speakers again. Captain Rodriguez, we do not understand your conversation, but we must warn you. 3 Vrak scout ships are approaching this system. They come every few days to search for survivors. If they find your ship here, they will attack. Captain Rodriguez looked around at his crew. Everyone was scared, but nobody looked like they wanted to run away. These people had volunteered for this mission knowing it might be dangerous. They came here to help the Calorians, not to hide when the enemy arrived. High-resonance thymal. How long until the Vrak ships arrive? Perhaps 2 of your hours, Captain. Rodriguez made his decision. All crew, prepare for combat. This is what we came here to do. Lieutenant Commander Thompson began powering up the ship's weapon systems. Captain, we've never fought alien technology before. We don't know if our map or weapons will even work against their ships. Then we're about to find out, Captain Rodriguez replied. Dr. Martinez, keep the channel open to the Calorians. Commander Sullivan, I want you to observe everything about how the Vrak fight. If we survive this encounter, we're going to need to understand their tactics. As the crew prepared for humanity's first battle with alien forces, high resonance, Thymal's voice came through the speakers one more time. Captain Rodriguez, no species has ever stood up to the Vrak before. We do not know if it is possible to defeat them, but we are grateful that someone is finally willing to try. Captain Rodriguez looked at the stars on the main screen. Somewhere, out there, 3 enemy ships were approaching. In a few hours, humanity would discover if a species from a death world could succeed, where dozens of peaceful civilizations had failed. We're about to find out what humans can do when someone threatens innocent people, he said quietly. Let's show these Vrak what they've never seen before. Let's show them what real warriors look like. The 3 Vrak ships appeared on the Meridian sensors exactly when high-resonance Thymal had predicted. Captain Rodriguez watched them approach on the main screen, and his first thought was that they looked like floating fortresses designed to scare people into surrender. Each Vrak ship was 3 times larger than the Meridian. They were dark gray with sharp edges and bright red lights that pulsed like angry eyes. The ships moved slowly through space in a straight line formation, as if they owned the entire galaxy and had no reason to worry about anyone fighting back. Captain, they're sending us a message, announced Dr. Martinez from her communication station. Put it through. A harsh mechanical voice filled the bridge. The translation computer worked quickly to convert the alien language into English. Small vessel, you have entered Vrak territory without permission. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. This is your only warning. Lieutenant Commander Thompson looked at her tactical display. Captain, their weapons are powering up, but they're not targeting us yet. I think they expect us to run away. Captain Rodriguez studied the enemy ships carefully. Commander Sullivan was right about their tactics being simple. The 3 Vrak vessels stayed in their formation, moving predictably toward the Meridian. They made no attempt to surround the human ship or cut off escape routes. They fight like bullies, Rodriguez said quietly. They're used to their enemies being afraid before the battle even starts. Commander Sullivan was recording everything he saw. Captain, look at how they position themselves. They want to look as threatening as possible, but they're not actually protecting each other. If one ship gets in trouble, the other 2 can't help it quickly. Dr. Clark, who had also joined the mission, was monitoring Vrak communications. Captain, they're talking to each other on an open channel. They seem confused that we haven't surrendered yet. What are they saying? The lead ship commander is asking the others if humans are a species they've encountered before. None of them recognize us. Captain Rodriguez smiled grimly. The Vrak were about to get their first lesson in human warfare. Lieutenant Commander Thompson, target the lead ship's weapon systems, but don't fire yet. I want to see how they react to aggressive movement. Thompson programmed the ship's targeting computer and then executed a maneuver that would have been impossible for the large Vrak vessels. The Meridian suddenly accelerated and changed direction, moving around the enemy formation instead of away from it. The effect on the Vrak was immediate. Their ships tried to turn to follow the Meridian, but they were too big and slow. For several minutes, the human ship danced around the alien formation while the Vrak struggled to keep up. They're getting frustrated, Dr. Clark reported. The lead commander is shouting at his crew. I don't think they know how to fight an enemy that won't. Stay in one place. Captain, called out Thompson. I'm reading their weapon signatures now. Their guns are powerful, but they're designed for destroying stationary targets like planets and space stations. They can't hit a fast-moving target easily. Rodriguez nodded. This was exactly what he had hoped to discover. The Vrak had built their entire military strategy around intimidating peaceful civilizations into surrender. They had never needed to develop real combat tactics. All right, let's show them what humans learned from thousands of years of warfare. Thompson, execute attack pattern Alpha. The Meridian suddenly changed course again, but this time it headed straight toward the lead Vrak ship. At the last second, Thompson fired the ship's main weapons at the alien vessel's weapon ports and then immediately veered away. The human weapons, designed for precise targeting rather than raw power, hit exactly where Thompson had aimed them. The lead Vrak ship's main gun exploded in a shower of sparks and debris. Direct hit, Thompson reported. Their primary weapon is destroyed. The other 2 Vrak ships fired at the Meridian, but their shots missed by hundreds of meters. The human ship was simply too fast and unpredictable for weapons designed to threaten stationary targets. Dr. Clark was translating the increasingly frantic communications between the Vrak ships. Captain, they're panicking. The lead commander is demanding to know what kind of species we are. They keep using a word that translates roughly as impossible. Commander Sullivan was taking detailed notes on everything he observed. Captain, I'm seeing a complete breakdown in their tactical coordination. They don't know how to adapt when their intimidation strategy fails. Rodriguez ordered another attack run, this time targeting the engines of the second Vrak ship. Again, Thompson's precise shooting disabled the alien vessel without destroying it completely. "Why aren't we destroying them entirely?" asked one of the junior officers. "Because we want them to go back and tell their friends what happened here," Rodriguez explained. "Fear works both ways. If the Vrak think humans are just another peaceful species, they'll keep sending small groups like this. But if they think we're dangerous, they might send their entire fleet at once." The third Vrak ship, seeing its two companions disabled, began trying to retreat. But it was moving too slowly. The Meridian caught up with it easily and destroyed its communication array with surgical precision. "That ship won't be calling for help anytime soon," Thompson reported. High resonance. Thimel's voice came through the communications system, filled with amazement. "Captain Rodriguez, we are witnessing something that has never happened before in galactic history. A Vrak attack force has been defeated without destroying a single planet." Rodriguez opened a channel to the disabled Vrak ships. "Vrak vessels, this is Captain Rodriguez of the human warship Meridian. Your ships are disabled but not destroyed. You will return to your territory and deliver this message to your commanders." He paused to make sure they were listening. "Tell them that humanity has joined this war. Tell them that the species you have been terrorizing now have protectors. And tell them that if they continue their attacks on peaceful civilizations, they will face the full military might of Earth." Dr. Clark reported that the Vrak were responding, but their transmissions were confused and frightened. "Captain, I don't think they understand what just happened to them. They keep asking how such a small ship defeated 3 of their vessels." Commander Sullivan looked up from his notes. "Captain, I think we just witnessed the birth of a new military doctrine. The Vrak have been successful because they fight civilizations that don't understand warfare, but humans evolved on a planet where survival required constant fighting." "What do you mean?" "I mean that every human military strategy from ancient times to now is based on the assumption that your enemy is trying to kill you and that you need to be smarter, faster, and more adaptable to survive. The Vrak have never faced an enemy that actually wanted to win rather than just survive." Rodriguez watched as the damaged Vrak ships slowly began moving away from the Calorian system. One had lost its main weapon, another couldn't maneuver properly, and the third couldn't communicate with its commanders. "Dr. Martinez, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them that first contact with hostile aliens has been successful. Human military tactics are effective against Vrak technology." "What should we do now, Captain?" asked Thompson. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display showing the retreating Vrak ships. "Now we prepare for their response. When those ships report back to their commanders, the Vrak are going to learn that humans are not like any species they've conquered before." High resonance. Thimel's translated voice filled the bridge again. "Captain Rodriguez, the surviving Calorians are asking if this means we might actually have a chance to survive." Rodriguez smiled as he watched the last Vrak ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. "High resonance, Thymel. Tell your people that the age of Vrak dominance is over. Humanity has entered the galactic community, and we don't abandon our friends." Commander Sullivan closed his notebook and looked at the captain. "Sir, I think we just started the first interstellar war in human history." "No, Commander," Rodriguez replied. "We just finished one. The Vrak have been waging war against peaceful species for decades. We're simply evening the odds." 2 months after the first battle with the Vrak, Admiral Patricia Stone stood in the command center of the Earth Defense Fleet's newest base. The base was built inside a large asteroid in the outer edge of Calorian space, hidden from enemy sensors, but close enough to coordinate rescue operations. Patricia had been promoted to Admiral after Earth's government decided that the Vrak threat required a full military response. She now commanded 12 human warships and coordinated with alien survivors from 6 different species who had reached out for help after hearing about humanity's victory. "Admiral, we're receiving another distress call," announced Lieutenant Pete Davis from the communications station. Pete was young but had proven to be excellent at learning alien languages quickly. "Which species this time?" Patricia asked. The Zephyrians, ma'am. They're a bird-like species from the Andromeda sector. According to their message, the Vrak attacked their home system 3 days ago. Patricia looked at the star map on the main display. The Zephyrian system was 2 weeks away by faster-than-light travel. By the time human forces could arrive, the attack would be over. How many ships do we have available for immediate deployment? Commander Jake Sullivan, who had become Patricia's chief strategic advisor, checked his tablet. The Meridian and the Defiance are ready to go. The other ships are scattered across 4 different systems helping with evacuation operations. This was the problem Patricia faced every day. Word of humanity's ability to fight the Vrak had spread through the galaxy's communication networks. Desperate species were calling for help from every direction, but Earth only had 12 warships to cover hundreds of star systems. Dr. Elena Martinez, now serving as the fleet's chief diplomat, had a different suggestion. Admiral, what if we don't try to fight every battle ourselves? What if we teach other species how to fight back? Patricia had been thinking the same thing. Explain your idea, Doctor. The Calorians have been working with our engineers to modify their surviving ships with human weapons technology. High-resonance thymol tells me that his people are ready to start fighting alongside us instead of just hiding and waiting for rescue. Commander Sullivan nodded approvingly. That's tactically sound, Admiral. We can't be everywhere at once, but we can multiply our effectiveness by training allied forces. Patricia made her decision. Dr. Martinez, contact all the species that have asked for our help. Tell them we're offering a new kind of assistance. Instead of just rescuing them, we're going to teach them how to rescue themselves. Over the next few weeks, the human base became a training center for alien military forces. Representatives from the Calorians, Zephyrians, Millions, and 3 other species arrived to learn human combat tactics. The alien students were eager but inexperienced. Most of them had never seen warfare before the Vrak attacks. Their species had developed advanced technology and peaceful societies, but they had no concept of military strategy. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Thompson, now promoted to commander, led the tactical training program. She found that teaching warfare to peaceful aliens was more difficult than fighting the Vrak themselves. The biggest problem, she explained to Admiral Stone, is that they don't think like predators. When I tell them to ambush an enemy convoy, they ask me why we can't just send a message asking the Vrak to leave peacefully. But some of the aliens adapted quickly to human military thinking. A Zephyrian pilot named Wind Rider of Storms proved to be naturally gifted at aerial combat maneuvers. A Million engineer called Bright Metal Shaper learned to modify alien technology to create weapons the Vrak had never seen before. The breakthrough came when Dr. Ryan Clark, working with alien scientists, developed a new communication system that allowed ships from different species to coordinate their attacks in real time. It's like creating a pack hunting network, Ryan explained to the Admiral. Each species contributes their natural abilities. The Zephyrians are excellent scouts because, of their enhanced vision, the Millions can repair battle damage faster than anyone. The Calorians can detect enemy ships from greater distances using their harmonic sensors. Admiral Stone approved the first joint operation 3 weeks later. The target was a Vrak supply, convoy heading toward a recently conquered system. Instead of sending human ships alone, she deployed a mixed force of human, Calorian, and Zephyrian vessels. Commander Thompson led the attack from the bridge of the Meridian. All ships, remember your training. We hit them fast, we hit them hard, and we disappear before they can organize a response. The battle was over in minutes. The Zephyrian scouts located the convoy and identified its weaknesses. The Calorian ships used their superior sensors to coordinate targeting. The human vessels delivered the primary attack while the aliens provided support and prevented any Vrak ships from escaping. Perfect execution, Thompson reported to Admiral Stone. No, friendly casualties, and we destroyed the entire convoy without giving them time to send a distress signal. But the real victory came from monitoring Vrak communications afterward. Dr. Clark had learned to decode their military transmissions, and what he heard made everyone optimistic. Admiral, the Vrak commanders are starting to panic, he reported. They're receiving reports of attacks from multiple species they thought they had already conquered. They don't understand how peaceful civilizations suddenly learned to fight. The Vrak overlord Krex, meanwhile, was dealing with problems he had never faced before. Conquered worlds were staging uprisings. Supply convoys were being destroyed by enemies who appeared from nowhere and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Species that had surrendered without fighting were now ambushing Vrak patrols. "This is impossible," Krex declared during a meeting with his commanders. "Peaceful species do not suddenly become warriors. Someone is teaching them." His intelligence officers had identified the source of the problem. "Overlord, the species calls itself human. They come from a small planet in an unremarkable star system, but their military capabilities are unlike anything we have encountered. One species cannot threaten the entire Vrak dominion," Krex replied. "How many ships do they have?" "Our estimates suggest no more than 15 vessels, Overlord, but they are not fighting like any species we have seen before. They use deception, coordinate attacks across multiple systems, and somehow they have convinced other species to join them." Krex was frustrated and angry. For decades, the Vrak had conquered species by demonstrating overwhelming power and then demanding surrender. The strategy had worked perfectly until humans appeared. "Overlord," one of his advisors suggested, "perhaps we should negotiate with these humans. Offer them territory in exchange for ending their interference." "The Vrak Dominion does not negotiate with inferior species," Krex declared. "We will crush these humans and make an example of them that will remind the galaxy why resistance is futile." Back at the human base, Admiral Stone was reviewing reports from operations across the galaxy. In just 2 months, the alliance of human-trained alien forces had won 17 battles against the Vrak. More importantly, they had saved thousands of lives and prevented the destruction of 3 entire star systems. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command," announced Lieutenant Davis. Patricia read the message and smiled. "Gentlemen, ladies, and honored alien colleagues, I have good news. Earth is sending reinforcements. 20 more ships will arrive within the month." High-Resonance Thymel, who had become the unofficial leader of the alien alliance, spoke for all the non-human species present. "Admiral Stone, our peoples have learned much from humanity in these past weeks. We have learned that courage can be taught, that hope can be shared, and that even the most peaceful species can become warriors when they fight for something they believe in." Commander Sullivan looked at the tactical display showing current operations across the galaxy. "Admiral, the Vrak are massing their forces. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a major offensive." "Let them come," Patricia replied. "They're still thinking like bullies who expect their enemies to be afraid. But we're not fighting like victims anymore. We're fighting like a pack. And pack hunters always protect their own." Dr. Martinez received a new communication from an unknown species. "Admiral, we just got a message from the Aquarian Federation. They're asking to join the Alliance. That would bring our total membership to 9 species." Admiral Stone nodded approvingly. "Accept their request. The bigger our pack gets, the harder it will be for the Vrak to hunt any of us." Outside the asteroid base, human and alien ships patrolled together through the darkness between stars. They were no longer separate species fighting individual battles for survival. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A coordinated defense network that refused to let bullies win through fear and intimidation. The Vrak Dominion was about to learn that humanity had given the galaxy something more powerful than advanced weapons or superior technology. They had given it hope, and hope was contagious. Overlord Krex stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, watching 300 Vrak warships prepare for the largest military operation in galactic history. He had gathered every available vessel from across the Dominion to crush the human-led alliance once and for all. "Overlord, our scouts report that the humans have established their main base in the Calorian system," announced his tactical officer. "Intelligence suggests they have no more than 30 ships defending the entire sector." Krex smiled with satisfaction. The humans had made a critical mistake by concentrating their forces in one location. He would destroy their base, eliminate their leadership, and then systematically hunt down every species that had dared to resist Vrak authority. "Send the message to all fleet commanders," Krex ordered. "We attack in 1 hour, no survivors, no mercy." When this battle is over, the galaxy will remember why resistance to the Vrak Dominion is futile. But 3 light years away, Admiral Patricia Stone was watching the approaching Vrak fleet on her command center's main display. Human intelligence had been tracking Krex's preparations for weeks, and Patricia had used that time to implement the largest deception operation in human military history. "Admiral, the Vrak fleet is moving exactly as predicted," reported Commander Jake Sullivan. "They're coming straight toward our apparent base location in tight formation." Patricia smiled. The Vrak still thought like bullies who had never faced real opposition. They expected their enemies to wait in one place to be destroyed, just like every peaceful species they had conquered before. "Dr. Martinez, is the communication network ready?" Patricia asked. Elena Martinez, now coordinating with representatives from 12 different alien species, checked her console. "All Alliance forces are in position and ready for synchronized attack. We have ships from 9 species hiding in asteroid fields and behind moons throughout this entire star system." What Overlord Krex didn't know was that the Calorian base he was targeting was mostly empty. The real Alliance fleet was scattered across hundreds of hiding places, waiting for the Vrak to enter the trap. "Captain Rodriguez, are you ready with the Meridian?" Patricia asked through the communication system. Alex Rodriguez, now commanding a squadron of mixed human and alien ships, responded immediately. "Ready as we'll ever be, Admiral. The Vrak are about to learn what happens when pack hunters coordinate their attack." The Vrak fleet entered the Calorian system in their traditional intimidating formation. Krex expected to see desperate enemy ships fleeing in panic. Instead, his sensors showed only empty space around the asteroid base. "Where are they?" Krex demanded. "Our intelligence clearly indicated major human forces in this system." His sensor officer looked confused. "Overlord, I'm detecting scattered energy signatures throughout the system, but no organized fleet formation." That was when Admiral Stone activated the Alliance's battle plan. "All units, execute Operation Pack Hunt. Show them what happens when the galaxy fights back." Suddenly, ships appeared from behind asteroids, from the shadows of moons, and from hiding places throughout the star system. But instead of attacking in one large group, they struck in dozens of small, coordinated assaults from every direction. Krex watched in horror as his massive fleet formation became a liability instead of an asset. The human-trained Alliance forces attacked like a pack of predators, hitting weak points and disappearing before the Vrak could respond effectively. "Impossible," Krex whispered. "How are they coordinating attacks across such distances?" Commander Sullivan, monitoring Vrak communications from his command ship, smiled as he listened to the enemy's confusion. "Admiral, they're completely panicked. Their commanders are demanding orders, but Krex doesn't know how to fight an enemy that won't stay in one place." The battle raged for hours, but it was unlike any space combat in galactic history. Instead of 2 fleets facing each other in formation, it was 300 confused Vrak ships being hunted by smaller groups of Alliance vessels that appeared, struck, and vanished. Captain Rodriguez led one of the most successful attack groups, combining the Meridian with Calorian harmonic sensors and Zephyrian scout ships. "Target the command vessel's communication array," he ordered. "If we can blind their flagship, their entire formation will fall apart." The attack was perfectly executed. Zephyrian scouts identified the target, Calorian sensors guided the weapons, and human firepower destroyed the Destroyer of Worlds' ability to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. Dr. Ryan Clark, monitoring enemy transmissions, heard something unprecedented in Vrak communications. "Admiral, Overlord Krex is trying to order a retreat, but most of his ships can't receive the message. They're fighting individual battles with no coordination." Patricia Stone watched the tactical display as the mighty Vrak fleet slowly fell apart. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for decades were being outmaneuvered by species they had considered helpless. "All Alliance forces, this is Admiral Stone," she announced. "The enemy is attempting to retreat. Let them go, but make sure they remember this day." High Resonance. Thymel, commanding a group of modified Calorian vessels, understood the strategy immediately. Allow them to escape, but ensure they carry the memory of defeat back to their territory. The remaining Vrak ships, roughly half of the original fleet, began fleeing the system in disorder. Overlord Krex's flagship was heavily damaged, his communications destroyed, and his confidence shattered. As the last enemy vessels disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Admiral Stone opened a channel to every known civilization in the galaxy. The message would reach peaceful species, Vrak territories, and neutral worlds throughout the galaxy. "This is Admiral Patricia Stone of the Galactic Defense Alliance," she announced. "Today, the age of conquest through intimidation has ended. The alliance of free species has demonstrated that bullies can be defeated when good people work together." She paused to let the message reach every corner of galactic civilization. "The Galactic Defense Alliance is open to any species that believes in freedom, cooperation, and mutual defense. We will never again allow peaceful civilizations to face extinction alone. The galaxy has awakened and we stand together." Dr. Martinez was already receiving responses from across the galaxy. "Admiral, we're getting messages from dozens of species. Some are asking to join the alliance. Others are reporting that Vrak occupation forces are withdrawing from their systems." Commander Sullivan analyzed the tactical results of the battle. "Admiral, we destroyed or disabled nearly half of the Vrak fleet, while losing only 6 alliance vessels. More importantly, we've proven that their military doctrine is obsolete." Captain Rodriguez docked the Meridian with the asteroid base and came directly to the command center. "Admiral, what are your orders for our next operation?" Patricia looked at the star map showing the locations of alliance forces throughout the galaxy. "Our next operation, Captain, is building a new kind of galactic civilization. One where species cooperate instead of conquer." High resonance. Thymel spoke for all the alien members of the Alliance. "Admiral Stone, the Calorians, and our fellow Alliance members want you to know that humanity has given us something more valuable than military victory. You have given us hope for a better future." 6 months later, the Galactic Defense Alliance had grown to include 43 different species. The Vrak Dominion still existed, but they no longer expanded their territory. Reports from their space indicated internal conflicts and resistance movements on previously conquered worlds. Dr. Elena Martinez stood in the new Alliance headquarters orbiting Earth, watching representatives from dozens of species work together on projects that would have been impossible before humanity entered galactic affairs. "We did it," she said to Dr. Ryan Clark, who had become the Alliance's chief intelligence coordinator. "We actually changed the galaxy." Ryan nodded, looking at the peaceful activity in the station around them. "Elena, do you remember that night when we first received the Calorian distress signal? We thought we might be too late to help them. Now, look," Elena replied, gesturing toward the windows showing Earth below. "The Calorians are helping to design new defense systems. The Zephyrians are training pilots from 6 different species. The entire galaxy is learning to work together." Admiral Stone's voice came over the station's communication system. "All personnel, we've just received word that 3 more species have requested Alliance membership. The galaxy is growing safer every day." Elena smiled as she watched a group of young humans and aliens working together on a joint research project. "Ryan, I think humanity found its purpose among the stars. We're not conquerors or explorers. We're protectors." Outside the station windows, ships from dozens of different species patrolled together through the solar system. Earth had become more than humanity's home world. It had become the center of a new kind of galactic civilization, one built on cooperation instead of conquest. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of bullies was over, and the age of cooperation had begun.